Baltimore's mayor insisted that she never gave an order for the police to stand down as those riots broke out on Monday. Her claim facing pushback from multiple sources, renewing questions about whether some of the violence and looting could have been averted if the reaction and the get-ready mode had been different. One county sheriff who was in Baltimore when the protests got violent tells Sean Hannity last night that he heard stand-down orders repeated several times. Here you will hear first from the mayor and what she said, and then from this sheriff. Listen to this.
So there was no order to hold back?
No.
Or was there?
No, but you have to understand it's not holding back, it's responding appropriately.
I had a Baltimore City Police radio on my person for the 2 days I was up there, and these guys were going through hell, and all I could hear was retreat or stand down, stand down. This was over the radio. I heard it with my own ears, and I couldn't understand for the life of me what was going on.
Multiple reports of that being the message that was given to those police. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani joins me now. Mayor, good to have you here. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't know if she actually gave such an order or not, but given her comments the day before about having space to destroy, right, which she denied. And
she
then
said it's only property.
Well, you give people space to destroy, that's a stand-down order. And the thing that I find totally confusing about this is a theory that existed about 20 years ago when I became the mayor. It used to be called the venting period, the cooling off period. We had 2 riots in New York as a result of that, one in Washington Heights, one in Crown Heights. And the police in Crown Heights were getting pelted. Finally, the police had enough of it, and I think it was Chief Anamone at the time came in, and they stopped it on the 4th day. A report was written about that, the Gentile report, and it really outlines how to handle a riot, which I followed consistently for 8 years. Mike Bloomberg followed it for 12 years, and we have not had a riot in New York. And we have civil demonstrations. We've got lots of people that make noises and scream and yell about everything. They have an absolute right to. But we don't have riots because the first person who throws a rock gets arrested. The first person who breaks a window gets arrested. The first person who burns anything gets arrested.
Or stops traffic, as happened last night.
Never should be allowed to stop traffic. Now, that's a new one. That I didn't allow. If you wanted to protest, you had the sidewalks, not the street. You cannot block the Brooklyn Bridge. You cannot block the streets. And I'm going to tell you another reason why you can't do that. People will die if you do that in a city as crowded as this city. An ambulance is trying to get to the hospital. You want to get that man or woman there in 3 minutes, 4 minutes. You have a bunch of protesters in the way. I'm sorry, that person's going to die. And we have instances of that having happened when things get blocked in New York.
You know, maybe the best evidence of this stand-down order was watching those officers. They were getting pelted with rocks and concrete.
The mayor should learn from the very beginning of his term in office. The police control the streets, not the protesters. Protesters get to protest in appropriate places. Appropriate places are sidewalks, not streets. The streets belong to all of us. The sidewalks, they can protest there. They should never be able to take a bridge, never be able to take a street. And the first time they commit a crime, the first one should get arrested. No venting period, no, as she said, space to destroy.
Yeah. Well, when you hear the new details that are coming in on this Freddie Gray case and this Washington Post report this morning that they think he was trying to injure himself in the back of that van, and then we talked to a doctor who said you can't possibly break your own spine. What goes through your mind? What do you think about this?
This is the difficulty of these cases, right? You have a person dead. You have no explanation for it. The explanation can't be given because the investigation is going on. So then for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, it's just endless speculation. The simple answer is you and I don't know what happened. We don't know if the police injured him. If they did it, was it by accident or on purpose? If it was on purpose, it's a crime. Did he get injured in some other way? I don't know the answer to any of that. What I do know is none of it, including if the police did it on purpose, requires or should allow any kind of justification for space to destroy, cooling off, breaking windows. These people are innocent. The people who lost their businesses and lost their jobs had nothing to do with whatever happened.
They deserve to be protected. That's what the protection is there for.
If somebody did something bad to Freddie Gray, that person should go to prison.
Absolutely.
If it was an accident, then the person shouldn't go to prison.
I'm curious what you think about this discussion going on about the word thug. That thug has now become synonymous with the N-word. Let's just play the mayor on this, and then I do want to get your reaction to it.
goes back to the 30s.
I regret it, and I've apologized several times. You know, it was very clear to me in the heat of what was going on, in the heat of this crisis, I let my anger overcome me. And I've apologized multiple times. And I apologize not just for the fact that I use the word, but because it has forced a conversation about a word instead of about the pain that many people are feeling.
She's apologized multiple times for using the word thug to describe people who are throwing bricks through windows of stores and clearing out the
So
store.
what should we call them? Violent criminals. How about that? We'll call them violent criminals, or we'll call them gangsters. Or, I mean, thug is a word that goes back, if I can recall correctly, to the 1920s and 30s. I think they used to call James Cagney that in the movies.
Absolutely, they did.
Because he murdered people in the movies.
I mean, any band of marauding kids, no matter what color they are.
Actually, the fight over the word thug is not the issue. The issue is her apologizing to kids. I mean, they were 15, 16. 15 and 16-year-olds can commit murder. 15 and 16-year-olds have committed murder. If you get killed by a 15-year-old or a 50-year-old, you're still dead. If you get hit in the head with a brick and it does serious damage to you by a 15-year-old or a 50-year-old, you still have serious damage to your brain. And actually, most violent crime takes place between the ages of about 14 and 30 years old. It's mostly young people who are committing violent crimes. So for her to be apologizing after all the other apparent mistakes that she made, I don't get it. So let's not use the word thug.
Worry about this, language that's being used.
Let's just call them a bunch of violent criminals who should be prosecuted as adults. They should be identified from those tapes, and there should be a concerted effort to prosecute them and put them in prison to teach others not to do that.
Well, we know the detectives are going through the tape, and they say they're doing a good job.
And they should be prosecuted
as these people in.
They should be prosecuted consistent with Maryland law. I know the law is in New York.
Yeah.
Certain ages you can be prosecuted as an adult for serious crimes. They should be prosecuted as adults. They did adult damage. They should be prosecuted as adults.
All right. Rudy Giuliani, thank you very much, Mayor. Good to see you as always.
21 past the hour.